right here. Right here.
Balance it out. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Then after the last captain, Brother Jackson, Miss Jackson, where's Reverend Henry Gordon?
They're both inside. To me.
We make sure today that the issue remains the issue.
Yes.
And we're not going to let people change the narrative. Even today, we won't talk so much about the legislators. We'll talk about why they had this. The death, that's the issue, the politics of death. Policy murder, policy violence. We know what we need to stop. And it's not just death by guns, death violence, denial of health care, denial of dealing with poverty. We've got to decide in this country because of death. We got to make a decision that death is no longer an option in our public policy. And that we are not going to be separated. We're not going to make this about personality. It's about all of these children, all of these people who died each day, whose blood still cries from the violence. That's why clergy can come and make it clear that we are tired and we are no longer going to just bury and console folks. We're going to get in the front line of the fight for a transformation of public policy to stop the attacks. So this is a solemn time, a serious time. We want to ask, if you are here coming out of the church, we want you to line up 4 across, not 5, not 6, not 7, 4 across. We want everybody to have a placard. The placard has different ideas on it, different issues, even scripture on them. When the last casket passes, fall in line 4, separated by 10 feet. Can we do that? Yes. Don't bunch up. Right now you're about 12 across, but when the last casket comes, go to 4, 10 feet between each line as we go together. All right? Where's Pastor Handy?
Behind here, behind.
He's our pastor today. Would you pray over us before we walk today, Pastor?
Let us pray. Wise and holy God, we bow before you. We thank you for another divine day to do your work. We ask to give ourselves a sense of patience and peace with one another because the struggle continues. Give us a willingness to do what's uncomfortable. Give us a forthrightness to do what we do not know what to do, but however, we know your Spirit guides us into those places and among those people who are in desperate need. Don't allow us to get comfortable with being who we are, but disrupt our spirits so that we would be unified to do the work that you called us to do, so your kingdom would come on earth as it is in heaven. Bless us on this journey. In Jesus' name, amen.
Is Brother Justin over there?
Justin.
The legislators, not only the 3, but the others are in caucus. They're working. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. If all of the clergy for a second could just stretch your hand, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and as we touch Justin, we're touching all of them that are trying to do the right thing. Whether they got expelled or didn't, but if they're trying to do the right thing, not only in Tennessee, but any state legislature across this country or Congress, we pray your strength inside of the room, that your voice would be clear, that your mind would be focused, that you all would always make the issue the issue, and you would stand for we the people, and you would stand against the policies of violence and murder and death. But we also say, we're here today to say, we will not leave you all alone on the inside. We are going to struggle and push and fight on the outside. We're going to organize. We're going to mobilize. We're going to turn our pulpits on fire for justice and love. We're going to register people to vote. We're going to do the things that need to be done until The stones that the builders have rejected become the chief cornerstone of a brand new moral movement in this country, in the South, for the transformation of the country and the saving of the soul of the nation. We believe it is so. In every name that is holy, we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. I don't fear no what? Wait. Come on, sing. Come from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. Come, He's brought me this far. I don't feel no wayside. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me. I don't feel no.
Steps in front so you can
Come too far from where I saw.
let's move y'all up. 3 feet. Got you, man. You hold this up right now. Finish.
Nobody told me that the road
would be
easy. I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me.
Come on, me. Let's move up. Let's move up. Let's move up.
I don't
Stop it.
come too far from where.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Please. I got it.
He brought me this far to leave me. I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me. I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me. I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me.
side. Need you over here, man. This side. No cameras over here.
Where's Dr. Jackson?
Rev Jackson.
Preachers, we're gonna need y'all to be real disciplined. Because we're too bunched up, and we do that, people gonna do it. So when we step off, don't step off at first. Well, all politicians got to move. Politicians, you got to move. This is not a political route. This is a forum. Politicians got to go. You can go in the back, but we need clergy, impacted people, the speakers here. If you're a politician, step out. If you're an elected official, we love you, but that's not what this is for. All right, step on the side. You're an elected official. Clergy, is that right?
That's right.
We don't hate this, we gotta get the right.
Right.
All right, now you all make sure that you stay on the other side of the canopy. So when the camera shoot, they shoot this canopy.
Yes.
All right, how many clergy we have here? How many speakers we have here? If you're not a clergy or a speaker, a clergy or a speaker, you need to step out of this part, beside the canopy. All right? Ask y'all through Holy Ghost and ask them, say, are you a speaker or a clergy?
Are you a speaker or a clergy?
I'm good. I got this. But you're not a speaker. So you need to, no. Let me get my speakers together. But no, I didn't say clergy, the speakers. You need to step back there. That's the speakers. Dr. Jackson, come up here. Dr. Jackson, come here. Okay. We need the speakers. If you're on the stage, we need the speakers and the clergy. Rest of you get behind them. The speakers and the clergy. That's the students and whatnot. So Dr. Cummings, we need you and others if you're not a speaker. Not all the clergy and the speakers. All right, we're just coming from, there's a reason why we're doing this. You got this, Ron?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you're a speaker, raise your hand.
If I have my
If you're a speaker on the program, raise your hand. Come on in. If you're not, step back.
No, he don't need it.
Step back.
I'm not been vetted.
We love you. Step back. All right, you ready? All right. Now this crowd step off. Y'all step off. We're going to walk just 4 by 4. Step off.
All right, we'll get straight.
Please keep that discipline, y'all. Please.
Press. No, man. I said press over here. I said that already. Come on, just give me 50 more seconds. Come over here. Okay, all the speakers up here, hold your hand up if you speak. Folks, we have a habit these days of not being the most disciplined when it comes to marching. Hold it. Hold on.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow, the preachers that are speaking on the program and the speakers and the young people. That's all that should be about the campus.
The preachers, the speakers, and the young people are the only ones that can be by the cast. You okay?
And this speaker.
Okay. Folks, we have a tendency not to be as disciplined when it comes to marching. But if you remember the march across the Emmett Pettis Bridge, they were very disciplined. They were 2 by 2. Bishop Barber wants us to be absolutely disciplined. Do you think we can do that today, please?
Yes.
Okay. And media, you think you ought to be disciplined too? Give people a little room? Because it gets backed up when y'all stop. So I want to make a suggestion. You all need a still shot. Get it now, and then we're going to move. Get your still shot now, and then we're going to move. Media's taking their still shot. Nobody move, and then they're going to move them out the way.
You came for this?
No, I went to Austin. I was seeing Tim Pool had his own live show. Well, both. There was one night was Tim Pool live streaming, and the next night was Moss. So I did both of them. I came back here yesterday.
You're on the way. Got it.
If this was going on, I would come down. See you.
Preachers, speakers, young people, 4 abreast. We're getting it together as we get ready to enter the plaza, okay? Get lined up nice. Nice and organized. Marshals, when you're ready.
You're not on the stage.
Waiting on you, Marshal.
I'm not sure they're hearing you back there.
You can hear me. You can hear me. We good, Marshal? Let's go, folks.
Testing. everybody on the stage to go to a solemn place and quiet. Move back some. Can you move back a little bit, please? Bring that down some. Bring it down some. I need everybody on the stage to shh as we're preparing to receive these caskets. We're going to ask those of you that are coming in the march, we need to stop there and get in our discipline of 4. Only 4 people across. We're too bunched up. Stop right there so that the caskets can be seen, so that people will understand what the issue is. Speakers should be lined beside the casket, not in front of the caskets. Those that are behind the casket should be in 4 lines of 4. 4 across, 10 feet apart. 4 across, 10 feet apart. As I'm standing on the stage, I should be able to see the caskets being carried. You should be on the speakers, you should be lined on each side, line. Let us do this so that the world is clear. So that the world is clear. Please bring the shortest casket up front, closer. Nothing should be blocking that. If you're beside the casket, move a little bit to your left or to your right so that there's a clear view of why we're really here and what's really going on. Thank you so much for discipline. We want the world to see what this is really about. It's about death. Let us march slowly, do not bunch up, please.
definitely mute the audio because they're playing copyrighted music.
Burning out. First, you're operating with an all or nothing approach. Second,
Gotta mute again, copyrighted music.
ready. Y'all can come on all the way up to the stage.
More copyrighted music. Gotta mute again.
Twenty-two people that are speaking today. There'll be many opportunities because tomorrow Monday is not just a day. So those persons would come up now, students and clergy, impacted persons, and then the rest of you come now. Fill in everywhere. As we come to be one people, come together.
There is trouble in this land. We're gonna set it right again. There is trouble in this land. We're gonna set it right again. There is trouble in this land. We're gonna set it right again. Say we're gonna set it right again. Set it right. Set it right. Killing in this land. We gotta set it right again. So much killing in this land. We gotta set it right again. There's so much killing in this land. We gotta set it right again. Said we're gonna set it right again.
Now, if you got it now, come on, let's sing it together.
Mothers are dying in this land. We gotta set it right again.
Everybody.
Fathers are dying in this land. We gotta set it right again. Babies are dying in this land. We gotta set it right again. Say we're gonna set it right.
Everybody lift your signs high, let's sing it together. Come on, let's show the nation.
Let it right.
Let them see your plaques. We know the policy that must be changed.
There is killing in this land. Yo, we gotta set it right again. There is healing in this land, and we gotta set it right again. There is healing in this land. We gotta set it right again. Said we're gonna set it right.
If you feel like it, put your placards down and let's put these hands together. We're crying, but we're not.
The person doing live assistance, can you please send a message?
We're gonna talk, we're
doing
gonna
that?
cry, we're gonna shout, we're gonna change things. Take them there, y'all.
There's gun violence in this land. Yo, we gotta set that right again. There's gun violence in this land, and we gotta set it right again. There's gun violence in this land, and we gotta set it right again. Yeah, we're gonna set it right again. Somebody's paying in this land. We gotta set it right again. Somebody's dying in this land, and we gotta set it right again. In this land, we gotta set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. One more time. There's healing in this
My
land.
app is having some kind of streaming issue, so if you are watching this and you hear my voice right now, please send me a message saying that you can hear it. The sound is working.
You know we gotta set it right again. There is healing in this land, and we gotta set it right again. What we gonna do, y'all? We're gonna set it right again. Come on, I gotta hear somebody dying. We gotta set it right again. Somebody is dying in this land, and we gotta set it right again. Let me hear you there dying in this land, and we gonna set it right. Can we roll that? We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right. We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. Let me just hear the voices say that. Let me just hear the voices. We're gonna set it right again. Come on and sing it like you mean it, because I know you do. Yeah, we're gonna set it right again. Something's out of order and we need to put it back together. We're gonna set it right again. I want you to sing it to the legislators. Woo! We're gonna set it right again. Let's make this promise to all the families who survived this. We're gonna set it right again. Yeah. We're gonna set it right again.
The truth is, somebody's hurting my brother. Somebody's hurting my sister. Somebody's hurting our families. Somebody's hurting the children. And it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody said it, and we won't be silent anymore. Oh, one more time, and we won't be silent anymore. We're going to sing this, and we're going to sing it like we mean it. Because we refuse to be quiet in the face of all that's laid out before us right here. So I want you to lift your hands and sing and lift your voices like you really mean it, all right? Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting my sister, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Yes, somebody's hurting my sister, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's killing the children, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Yes, somebody's killing the children, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Now we need your hands together. Yeah, somebody's hurting our families, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting our families, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Well, if we've been just a little too quiet, it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, if we've been just a little too quiet, no, it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Yeah, somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Yeah, there's been too much bloodshed, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, far too long. Oh, there's been too much bloodshed, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. One more time. Oh, if we've been just a little too quiet, you know it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, if we've been just a little too quiet, you know it's gone on far too long. We won't be silent anymore. Oh, somebody's hurting our families, and it's gone on Yes, it's gone on. Far too long. I tell you, it's gone on. Far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting our families, and it's gone on. Far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Did you hear somebody's taking our voting rights? And it's gone on. Far too long. Oh, it's gone on. Far too long. And I tell you, it's gone on. Far too long. Oh, somebody's taking our voting rights. And it's gone on. Far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Yeah, somebody's hurting our children. It's gone on. Far too long. Yeah, it's gone on. Far too long. I tell you, it's gone on. Far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting our children. And it's gone on. Far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. That's right there. We won't be silent. And we won't be silent anymore. And we won't be silent. Keep on. And we won't be silent anymore. That's it. And we won't be silent anymore. Who you making that promise to? Come on and sing that. And we won't be silent anymore. No, we won't be silent anymore. One more time. And we won't. And we won't be silent. Watch me.
Whenever you gather, you ought to know why we're here. I've been asked by the people that invited us to come if we would frame today before impacted people and other clergy come. Jeremiah 3 says there's a sound going on in Ramah, weeping because her children are no more, and she refuses to be comforted. Luke 7:14 said Jesus went up and touched the coffin, and he told a young man to get up. In other words, he stopped the funeral.
Yes, sir.
Why are we here? First, we have to make clear our grievances, and then what we demand, which at the end we will read off a set of demands before we go inside. We've come today as moral and faith leaders. Let me ask them to come all around. You will see today that nobody will stand at this podium alone.
Right.
We've come today as directly impacted people, as people of conscience from every race, creed, and culture. We've come with some level of repentance that we should have been out here a long time ago.
All right.
Because the extremist members of the legislature and the governor here in Tennessee and around the country, they have not just become extreme. We come because religious leaders can no longer bury the dead and console and comfort families of the dead. Families can no longer just cry. We must work to change the policies that's causing the death in the first place. We're here by the thousands and by the millions online because history itself has been saying we need a moral movement to repair the breaches of our societies. After the murder of precious babies here with the weapon of war. Then the speaker refused to allow debate and sought to silence their blood crying out from the ground by shutting down the mics on Justin, and Gloria, who were simply not representing themselves, but representing their constituents of over 240,000 people.
All right.
They, like others around the country, took the lead and stood shoulder to shoulder, following the moral order of justice and the decorum of truth and love in the Tennessee State House.
All right.
And they formed a front line of solidarity with people who are crying out in pain, begging and demanding their representatives do something to stop this culture of death and policy violence. But this movement must be, and the story must be, about more than 3 legislators.
Right.
They have even said that. Because if it's reduced to about 3 legislators or 2, then we forget what you see in front of you, the deaths that brought us here. It must be about the people refusing to accept children dying because politicians block gun laws that would save lives. They block health care that would save lives. They block living wages and refuse to address poverty that would save lives. And we are here, and we will come again and again and again and again.
Yes, sir. All right, Bishop.
If they try to adjourn, we're going home behind them. We're going to have Moral Mondays led by clergy and impacted people and advocates in their home districts. The first one is going to be in East Tennessee and Nashville. Because we don't believe that Tennessee is extremist country. We believe it's God's company. And if we are volunteer and stand up together, we can change this state. The legislators are back. But returning individuals to their duly elected seat does not solve the problem.
All right.
No, the past week's events have simply exposed the problem for all to see. That's a victory, but the people rising, refusing to be silent and comforted, the people mobilizing, organizing, registering voters, the religious leaders, impacted people, and people of conscience of every faith and color and sexuality and age in the street, in the pulpit, in the voting booth, in the halls of the General Assembly, going to jail if necessary, not as a violent insurrection, but as a moral resurrection until policies change. That's when victory will have been won. My brothers and sisters, extremists are using state capitals to make an end run around the U.S. Constitution and the heart of democracy. Nashville is happening all over the country. Mississippi, Florida, North Carolina, all over the country, and especially in the South. We are seeing the attempted political coups, but the resurrection of a moral reconstruction is also happening. Why are we here? We're here because to challenge the reality with the moral resurrection is deeper than partisanism. We're not here as Democrats. We're not here as Republicans. We're not here as black. We're not here as white alone. We're not here as left. We're not here as right. We're here because of the politics of lies and greed and death must be challenged by the moral vision of truth and justice and love and life. That's why we're here. And so make no mistake. As I said 10 years ago when we started Moral Monday in North Carolina, we are black, we are white, we are Latino, we are Asian, we are Native, we are young, we are old, we are Jewish, we are Muslim, we are Christian, we are Unitarians, we are people of faith and not of faith, we are gay, we are straight, we are trans, we are poor, we are wealthy with a conscience, we are Republicans, we are Democrats, we are independent, we are Tennessee, we are America, and we ain't going nowhere. On the front line of truth and love, coming together to save lives and establish justice, because the people cannot be silent. Moral Monday says always focus on the issue Extremists want us to be silent. They want to keep the voters blind to what they're doing. And we will not allow that to happen. We cannot allow the politics of public policy murder. Yes, I said that, public policy murder. When you know a policy will kill people and you keep putting it in place, that's a form of public policy murder, according to a 19th century sociologist.
All right.
And we come here today, finally, to put a face on the death that has been normalized. Gun violence is the leading cause of death, but you can't change it with just statistics. You got to put a face on it. You got to make people keep looking at the casket. Like Emmett Till's mama, you got to make them look at what a body looks like when it's riddled by an AK-47. We must say that 46% of all Tennesseans are poor and low wealth. 56% of our children, 3 million people, 1.3 million people in Tennessee make under $15 an hour. 700 people die every day from poverty. 87 million people are uninsured. 330,000 people died from COVID because they didn't have insurance, not from COVID. Right. We cannot accept this policy violence as normal anymore. Right. And we got to call it what it is, sin. That's what it is. Yes. And we've got to call it. Yes. We can no longer deliver eulogies and give comfort to people that are hurting without standing up to the public policy and changing it so that the death doesn't happen in the first place. And the blood is calling us from the ground. So we come together. We come together and we recognize that the same people that block gun laws block health care. And the same ones that block health care block voting rights. And the same ones that block voting rights, they block living wages. And the same ones that block living wages, they block dealing with the environment. And if they are cynical enough to be together, we got to be smart enough to come together and stay together. So my brothers and sisters, we are here because we don't need a front man or a front woman. We need a front line. No single leader. No single issue. We're all in this together. Yes, sir. And it's time to get together on the front line. Yes, sir. We can't afford to sit back. There's no one to note and say, well, we don't know if we have anybody to vote for. Over 800,000 poor and low wealth Tennesseans didn't vote. Well, it's time to get on the front line. The language left versus right is too puny. We're here to fight for right versus to fight for what's right. It's time to get on the front line. Nashville is happening in capitals all over the South. People are getting on the front line. And when we stand together on the front line, it doesn't mean they want to oppose us. Just ask anybody who's ever stood up nonviolent. They'll bring charges against you. They'll kick you out. They'll lock you up. They'll do everything they can do to silence. But if there are enough of us on the front line, they can't stop us all. So who's ready to be on the front line? When you get on the front line of justice, and the front line of love, and the front line of mercy, there's power greater than the power in these buildings behind us. Power will help you if you get on the front line. When we come together on the front line, one can chase 1,000, and two can put 10,000 to flight. When we come together on the front line, we can change wrong into right. When we come together on the front line, we can bring life rather than death. When we come together on the front line, the stones that the builders rejected can become the cornerstone of the new movement. Is there anybody that'll sign up and stay on the front line until our babies are protected, until the sick have health care, until the
My name is Angela Farrell-Zabala, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Movement Building at Everytown for Gun Safety. Moms demand action and students demand action. I stand here today with survivors, advocates, and faith leaders to say enough. 120 people are shot and killed in this country every day, and 200 more are shot and wounded. Enough! Guns are the leading cause of death for children, teens, and young adults in this country. Enough! 59% of adults in this country or someone they know and care about have experienced gun violence in their lifetime. Enough! I'm a mother, I'm an organizer, and while I'm focusing on gun violence today, I know all of these issues are deeply connected. I am guided by my faith. I rely on my faith to drive me and keep me moving even when this work gets tough. I joined the fight against gun violence because I wanted to cure this sickness, because our children are dying.
Yes.
I'm tired of hearing about tragedy after tragedy in this country, from the daily gun violence that mostly impact black and brown people that barely make the news. The violence, the school shootings, to the hate crimes, to the police violence, to the gun suicides and domestic violence. And the most our leaders can muster up are thoughts and prayers. I'm a person of faith, and I believe in the power of prayer. But as James taught us, faith without works is dead. We need policies and change. To me, living your faith means asking every day what you can do to help others so that we might all prosper. That's faith in action. That is where lasting change begins. We need our lawmakers to act the same courage that gun violence survivors show every single day. And with that, I want to bring up our next speaker, Jason Sparks, a volunteer with Moms Demand Action and a gun violence survivor.
Just before he comes, turn this mic up some, just before he comes, already this morning, we've heard about other deaths. Alabama, Kentucky, and Kansas City. Yesterday, we were thinking about this gathering, and this man told us something that solidified for us that we were supposed to be here. We want the media to hear, and the next few speakers will be impacted people. That's what we mean by front men and front women. We need the people on the front line. Too often we don't let impacted people speak. So here's somebody who's been directly impacted.
Hi, my name is Jason Sparks. I live here in Nashville with my wife Abby and my 2 kids in Metro Nashville schools. Today my best friend, my little brother Chris Sparks, would have turned 43. That's never gonna happen because 7 years ago on September 28th, 2016, he was shot to death a few miles from here. Chris was on his way home on his lunch break to walk his beloved rescue dog Dawson and was shot and killed in broad daylight by a bad driver he honked at. People call it road rage, but that trivializes the issue. The fact is, it's just murder. The gunman drove off, and I live daily with the fact that I'll probably never know who did it. In 2013, our state legislature passed a guns in trunks bill that allowed people to carry guns in their car. Now we're number 2 in the nation in road murder and lead the nation in guns being stolen from cars. That's policy murder. Today, this House is going to hear a House Bill 1202, and that will allow teachers to carry concealed weapons in classrooms. Our teachers are already overwhelmed, and now they want them to carry guns. Fellow teachers won't know who's carrying, parents won't know who's carrying. Imagine what would happen in a crisis. Look, if guns made us safer, we'd be the safest damn state in this country. But we aren't. We're a gun-sick state where our supermajority and governor aren't beholden to the will of the people. They're beholden to the cult of the gun. Last week, a top lawmaker asked kids who came to the Hill, what gun would you like to be shot with? That same lawmaker told me 6 weeks ago while I was sitting in his office that the problem wasn't guns, that it was certain communities where fathers aren't present. And throughout the committees I've been before, they always blame society, mental health, video games, anything to avoid doing their jobs and passing common sense gun legislation. Our governor mentioned support for ERPO or red flag laws after the government tragedy. He followed that up with no concrete ideas. The only bill that was on the table was shot down last Thursday, and now they're trying to run away home because they're scared of the heat that has been put on them like people by you. But something was different in these last few weeks. Some of these legislators told you who they were, and you heard it. And now you can never not hear it. Please keep coming back. Don't let up. Do it for my brother Chris. And do it for the 6 innocent lives that were taken at Covenant on March 27th.
Somebody say, do it for his brother and all the brothers and sisters. The next speakers will come. Each of them will give a 2-minute powerful testimony, either as a clergy person or an impacted person. How many of you are registered to vote? How many of you from this place further will go out and get other people registered to vote? How many of you, and don't raise your hand on this, vote? Because that's the serious question. Hear these testimonies now. Hear the nation. Come on and hear them. Reverend Hannah Broom is going to introduce persons as they come.
Thank you, Bishop. We have Sarah Newman. Her child was in school at the Covenant School 3 weeks ago when there was a school shooting. After her, we would have Reverend Chris Bice, Senior Minister of Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, who also has dealt with gun violence inside of his church.
I'm not here because I want to be here. I hate public speaking. The Covenant School is my community, my son's school. It's filled with staff that have become friends and people we love dearly. When I first met Catherine Kuntz, our beloved head of school 3 years ago, she told me Covenant was intentional to make sure every child was loved and known and prepared, and those weren't empty words. During our 3 years there at school, I've witnessed nearly every staff member call my son by name. They know his interests, his strengths, his struggles. They know our whole family. On March 27th at 10:38 a.m., I was in Green Hills about a mile from the school when a friend reached out to ask where my 5-year-old son Noah was. She heard on social media there was an active shooter. Tweet from the Nashville Fire Department that they were responding to an active aggressor. I said, no, it's a drill. It has to be a drill. I hung up and called my dear friend who's the librarian. She answered with a sound of terror in her voice that I don't have words to describe, screaming and crying. She managed to get out the words to tell me she and her son were okay. Her son was homesick. I knew it wasn't a drill. My own son Noah was okay. He was getting a haircut with his dad, but the rest of our community was inside that building. My friends, our children, so many people we love in that building, our safe space. My 2-year-old and I parked. We ran down Hillsborough Pike as fast as we could to the school. The roads were blocked off, there were cops everywhere. We hadn't even received word from the school yet. I texted our preschool mom's thread, active shooter at Covenant. I could barely type the words, my body was shaking. At that moment, that innocent mom's tech thread was forever changed. From a place that we shared pictures and reminded each other of dress-up days to now coping through trauma and things parents should never have to discuss. I frantically called friends promising to try to find their babies. We got word quick from the school confirming the nightmare. The shooter was down and a reunification site was in place. I got there as fast as I could and my husband and Noah joined. I won't ever be able to describe what it was like sitting in that church. I didn't feel like I was in my own body. Holding our friends, praying, waiting to hear if their kids were alive, piecing together things that people saw and heard. All we knew was 7 people were dead from the news. Texted friends, teachers, begging, please just text us the word safe. We got confirmation that our son's teachers were okay and started hearing back from others, his art teacher he adores, his PE teacher that he loves because he'll make mischief with him, and our dear Pastor Sullivan. My dad drove an hour with the kid to get the kids so they wouldn't witness any more agony, but not before the first mom was told her kid was gone. Those screams and sorrowing wails. I worked in pediatric oncology for 13 years. I held kids in my arms as they died way too many times. Nothing compared to the scream of that mom. We kept learning about more staff members, but no one saw or heard Catherine. We all knew. We knew there's nowhere else she would be other than in that church with us and with the students. My best friend kept asking if anyone had seen her dear friend. No one had. She knew too. She knew what it meant if she wasn't in that reunification room by this time. The last 3 weeks have been deeply painful. Our days are spent hearing children as young as 3 years old describe in horrific detail what they saw and heard. Third graders saw the dead bodies of their friends, not just coffins.
That's right.
Their classmates.
That's right.
They sat in those rooms shielded by their teachers with bullets flying over them. We walked in that school the other day and saw the bullet holes. We saw where those bodies laid and where the staff laid. We went through classrooms that looked like they were frozen in time with March 27th still written on the boards. The trauma's not going to dissipate. It's not going to leave us or our children. It'll just find a home within us and we'll learn to live with it. The most painful question I have had to answer from my 5-year-old, who keeps proudly telling me how brave his teachers were and how they knew exactly how to keep him safe from the bad guy. But he asked, Mommy, how did they know to do the practice? Has this happened before? And I said, yes. He said, a lot, Mommy? I said, yes. He said, so Mommy, this shooter's dead, but more can come. We had everything. We had good security, we had locked doors, we had intense active shooter training. The teachers heard AR-15s shot in the school and had to practice locking down for that. They had everything. Our cops are heroes. They didn't hesitate a second. It's not enough.
The one thing you did not have was banned assault weapons.
We don't have banned assault weapons. Sure, we're gonna add the bulletproof glass now, but what about when they're on the playground? What about when they're playing soccer?
Let me ask our brother to come behind, because one of the things I want folk to hear from you and across the nation, I'm holding you because I want you all to say to her, but you won't bear this grief alone. Will you say that? You won't bear it. I want you to ask you something as my brother comes, because he needs to share the killing that happened there. You said, and I want the nation to hear what you said. You said, I have worked in pediatric oncology, and I have not heard screams worse than what was experienced there. You know, the folk that say the real problem is mental illness, they are right. It is a form of mental illness when you can hear this kind of pain and still be more interested in guns than you are in saving lives. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it wasn't easy, but thank you. Thank you.
It is important for ministers to speak out for responsible gun laws because we do the memorial services. The solution to the problem of guns in our school is not more guns in our school. When I was a teenager in high school, the security guard at our school was shot to death with his own weapon. If we arm our teachers, we need to be prepared for more memorial services. There's an activist saying, I'd rather be a guardrail at the top of the hill than an ambulance at the bottom. We are advocating for responsible gun laws because we are tired of the sounds of sirens in our community. The scripture tells us we must speak out for those who cannot speak out for themselves, and the victims of gun violence no longer have a voice or a vote. We must be their voice. We must be their vote. Especially for the school children and the teachers whose blood cries out for justice. In 2008, a gunman opened fire in my congregation's sanctuary on a Sunday morning in the middle of a children's play. 2 people were killed, 8 people were injured, and all of us were traumatized. The gunman had a history of domestic violence and anger management issues. A red flag law could have prevented this tragedy. We are told when we speak out on this issue that we must have decorum. Let me tell you something that every minister knows. Traumatized people do not always have everyone's ideas of decorum. There is weeping and wailing at the graveside. There is more heartbreak in this nation than can ever be stalled by Robert's Rules of Order. And that is why we are here today.
That's right.
To speak out for those who can't speak for themselves, to put a guardrail at the top of the hill and not an ambulance or a memorial service at the bottom.
Yeah. We just got word that they're trying to do a little tricky trick with the vote. We may make a decision to go inside and finish our speaking inside. If we have to do that, how many of you gonna go inside with us? All right.
Power to the people.
Why can't we wait? We can no longer wait to buy another casket and bury another loved one. We can no longer wait on our children screaming, "Why not help us now?" We can no longer wait to hear the death cries from the graves and the ground beneath us throughout the state of Tennessee. We can no longer wait for innocent children and adults who were expected to come home, but because someone had the legal right to purchase an assault weapon, also known as an AR-15, and decided to walk into another grocery store, a school, even a church, a synagogue, a mosque, and have target practice. Gun violence is the #1 killer of children in Tennessee, taking more lives than car accidents. We need common sense gun reform now. We need legislators who can feel the pain of death. Why can't we wait? We can't wait to an end of another year to read over 100 names of those brothers and sisters who have been displaced because of lack of affordable health care and housing. Unfortunately, when it comes to health care, Tennessee ranks as the 9th worst in the country. Today, more than 11% of Tennesseans, nearly 800,000 residents, are without coverage. That is simply criminal. We can't wait any longer for Medicare expansion, not to have successful debate on the General Assembly floor while the stain of blood continues to expand all over us.
That's right.
By refusing to expand Medicaid, the state's political leadership has decided to let lower income whites, black, Asians, Latinos suffer while they have significant health care coverage. Dr. Martin Luther King said, of all the forms of inequity, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. We need affordable healthcare now for our most vulnerable. We need moral and ethical legislators that possess the moral capacity, consciousness, and courage to do the redemptive thing now. Follow the Micah mandate to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our God.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Nashville. As someone who has worked for 15 years in housing and healthcare, it is my honor to stand up with Bishop Barber and the rest of my clergy colleagues and medical professionals and address the lack of affordable housing and healthcare in Tennessee. We cannot ignore the reality that too many of our fellow Tennesseans are struggling to find a place to call home. Families are forced to choose between paying for rent or putting food on their tables. Veterans who have bravely served our country are sleeping on the streets. Our siblings who are struggling with addiction or mental health issues
are left without the support they need to get back on their feet. Tennessee has one of the highest rates of uninsured individuals in the country. This means that too many people are not able to access the care they need to stay healthy and thrive. As people of faith and as members of this great movement for justice, we cannot remain silent while our neighbors are suffering. We must take action to ensure that everyone has a safe and stable place to go home and adequate health care. And I am going to turn my 1 minute left over.
Just a second. I want us to hear that part of the reason we're saying to the media is that they oftentimes, it's not intentional maybe, want to just focus on one issue.
Yes.
We must address the whole spirit of death and the politics of death. Now I must ask you something rather than turn over. I want the students to come because we said that we would keep a time and discipline, and if we don't let these students talk to us, right? So all the students come. Would y'all welcome them? All the students that have come here. And then we're gonna make a tactical decision to go inside possibly and have everybody else finish, just like we did it on Monday. We went inside in North Carolina and we kept right on speaking. And we invited the media to come right on in with us. Let's welcome these students. Would you all introduce yourselves and share your truth, your story?
My name is Bobby.
My name is Helena. We're both volunteers with Students Demand Action at Vanderbilt. We're both studying to be educators.
As students, future teachers, and members of the Nashville community, we are here to say enough. We've seen enough death, we've seen enough grief, and we've seen enough in action.
3 weeks ago, 6 people were shot and killed at the Covenant School. We shouldn't be able to imagine what the people inside those classrooms were feeling that day. But the truth is that every teacher in this country has had to face that terrifying thought that they might not be able to keep their students safe. This is shameful, and we won't accept it.
Take a look at the movement we're building. When lawmakers look out from the Capitol today, they'll come face to face with our coalition. They'll have no choice but to confront a sea of young people, faith leaders, survivors, teachers, and community members at their doorstep, fed up and demanding action.
Right now, lawmakers are preparing to vote on dangerous legislation that would make it easier to arm teachers in our state. And later this week, they'll also be advancing bills to lower the age for permitless carry, opening our public spaces to even greater risk.
While kids are dying, while students are being told to run, hide, and fight, the so-called solution our lawmakers are offering is to put more guns in more places. We want safe schools, not fortresses. We want to be teachers, not soldiers.
It's time our lawmakers did their jobs and listened to the voices screaming for change. Gun violence is not inevitable. Right now, they have the opportunity to pass an extreme risk law to help keep us safe.
It's time these lawmakers face the generation they are failing to protect. We are fed up, we are angry, and we will not be silenced. We will stop short at nothing until we see change the state needs.
The tide is shifting and their time is running out. To our lawmakers, do your job. 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 Do your job.
Hello, Tennessee. My name is Kayla Prowl, and I am a current senior at Vanderbilt University, but I'm also here with the Equity Alliance. I want to say that it's good to see you guys today, but quite frankly, I'm tired of having these same conversations, marching on the streets, begging for the same thing. We're all tired. We've been out here for the last few weeks, but I know for many, this has felt like a lifetime. And I don't need to tell you why we're out here. I don't need to tell you that guns are the leading cause of death right now in Tennessee, or that guns don't belong in schools. I don't need to tell you that while gun violence is now ravaging our Nashville community, guns and gun violence have been present, prominent, and persistent in Black, brown, poor, and marginalized communities alike. I don't need to tell you that while we sit out here and watch our brothers, our sisters, and members of our community be slaughtered, that members and politicians accept dark money and black money from the NRA, they fill their pockets and don't even send their children to these war zones that they call schools. At 22 years old, I have never known a life without school shootings. I have never known a life without gun violence, and I can say it myself because at 9 years old, I looked down the barrel of the gun for a first time. I'm here at 22 years old to tell you all that the time for please and thank yous is gone. We are living in a time where each and every one of us is fighting for our lives, and we will not stop until freedom and peace is won. And with that being said, Nashville, I'll leave you with this. Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't get quiet.
Don't get quiet.
Don't thin out when the cameras go and the tragedies pass. Stay loud, stay strong, stay together, and heal in community. And for you lawmakers, GOP, Bill Lee and Cameron Sexton, you better get ready, because at 22 years old, me, my friends, and my community, we're coming for that house. You better get ready for that eviction, because my community is coming to lead the community the way they know best. We are out here fighting this good fight, and we are not gonna stop till it's won.
And you know what she just said? See, some people think that's empty rhetoric. But the truth is, in every southern state, hear me, you won't hear this in the media. In every southern state, if you registered or caused to vote, 20% of the already registered poor and low-wealth voters who don't vote are around an agenda for truth and justice and life. You don't have to beg, you can give some folk a vacation. You say, remember how you know? Because in 2013, we started Moral Monday in North Carolina with 17 people. It grew to over 100,000 people in the street in 6 months. When they left, we went home behind them. And in the next election, we sent home an extremist governor. We changed the state Supreme Court. We beat them in voter suppression at the ballot box. But you gotta organize. You gotta mobilize. You gotta work hard. And you gotta go everywhere they even say you should not be. So when my sister says, we coming for that house, that needs to be our cry all over the South. We coming for that house. We're coming for that Senate. We don't have to use violence. We'll use our power. We're coming young. We're coming old. We're coming middle-aged. We're coming protesting. We're coming voting. We're coming. And we intend to get what we're coming for. This is Moral Fusion. Now, I want to ask two bishops, one Episcopal, one Methodist, an imam, and a rabbi to come. Y'all is going to sing a piece that we need to hear and put it in our spirit right now. They're going to come, then we're going inside. We're going to finish inside. How many are going to go inside? Let's go! And we're going to speak on the inside. We're going to read our demands on the inside. We're going to try to take these caskets on the inside. But they're not going to get arrested today. They're going to hear us today. And what they need to know is what they hear today is what they're going to hear in their own districts and at the ballot box until justice comes. Come on, y'all. Come on, singers. Just a short piece. Then we got 4 quick speakers and we going inside.
While I'm coming up to the mic, come on and say, all over the South. All over the South. We're coming for the House. We're coming for the House. Come on, all over the South. All over the South. We're coming for the House. We're coming for the House. Again, all over the South. All over the South. We're coming for the House. We're coming for the House. It might as well get ready because we shall not be moved. Come on, you know it. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. I said we shall not be moved. Oh, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. They won't separate us. We shall not be moved. No, they won't separate us. We shall not be moved. Oh, just like a tree planted by the water. I said we shall not be moved. Go tell the senators. We shall not be moved. Go tell the governor. We shall not be moved. Oh, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. One more time. Oh, we shall not be moved. I said we shall not. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved.
I am Bishop Ann Henning Byfield, the Bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church for the states of Kentucky and Tennessee, and the chair of the Denomination Social Action Commission. We are here to thank God that a few ignoble leaders use injustice against noble leaders to ignite a moral response for justice in Tennessee. And so we come to say stop, because we are on the case. Stop the redistricting of Nashville and other communities that through gerrymandering gives voter suppression and diminish African American voters. Stop increased gentrification in Nashville, the rezoning of neighborhoods. Stop no action against gun control. Stop the redistricting that diminishes health for children, women, and the disenfranchised. Stop telling us that we are going to add lynching to capital punishment and to make persons who are homeless and unhoused criminals. We need to stop redistricting with the same people who vote against the stopping of gun laws are the same people who vote against health, vote against housing, vote against anything that is good for the nation. So I'm here to say we have come together, working together, believing together, praying together, marching together, politicizing together, protesting together, denouncing that children have value, because we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, and we will stop as one.
My name is Mary Ann Buddy. I come to you from Washington, D.C., and I just want to assure you that there is no geographic limitation to the evil that you are fighting in Tennessee. It exists all over this land, and it is housed north, south, east, west, but so is the movement rising up to address it. And there are people of all colors, all people of all classes, all people of all walks of life who are rising up and saying, as you are saying here, there is a better way. And I feel that the most important thing that we can do is address the lie that kept people like you and me 60 years ago thinking that nothing could be done to address the evils of those days until others stood up and said, yes, there is. There is something we can do. And so just as our forebears fought to end Jim Crow, just as our forebears fought to end the spectacle of public lynching with crowds cheering them on, there are things that we can do and are doing to prevent the ongoing spread of this epidemic of gun violence. And we are the ones. We are the ones to say to those who refuse to do their job, we elect you, we appoint you to do this work, and if you will not do it, you need to get out of the way. And when the rising ones come and take your place. I'm so honored to be among you, and I will take your prayers and your goodwill with me, and know that yours will go with me, and we will work together to fight that lie and create the vision that God has given us in our hearts to make it a reality in this land. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I witness that nothing has the right to be worshipped except the Lord of all the worlds, the Lord of the white, the Lord of the black, the Lord of the Latinos, the Lord of all human beings. Yes. Brothers and sisters, we are in a situation now where we have to look at ourselves as humanity. I'm a human being. That means I'm responsible for what happened to other human beings. Yes. I'm responsible for what happened to babies. I'm responsible for how women have to cry concerning their babies. I'm a human man, a human being. Now, I got some ideas about gun violence, and I discussed some of them with Chief Trey. And I think I'm going to take a quick stab at this right here and right now. I think 11 and 12 graders, the boys especially, should be taken to the gun range, taught how to shoot guns. And listen to what I'm saying.
Sir, Imam, I have to stop you for this. That is not a part of our agenda. Okay. We invited you to come. We don't need to teach them how to shoot now. I'm gonna have to take bishop authority and bring our rabbi up. We'll talk about that later. But I can't be a part of it. That is love. We need love. That is love. We need love. That's right.
I'm Rabbi Shana Mackler from the temple here in Nashville. We are at a moral crossroads where an ideology has morphed into idolatry. The false sanctity of the Second Amendment has turned into a violation of our second commandment. You shall have no other gods beside me. We have put this ideology above everything we value, rendering it sacrosanct, unable to be touched or altered in any way. And in order to show loyalty to this false god, we must offer it a sacrifice. As a nation, we have been sacrificing to this idol, offering our loved ones up in schools and synagogues and churches and on street corners and malls and movie theaters. Nearly every prophet warned of this hubris, of making gods of our own power, our own comfort, our own property. And now we see, as the prophet Jeremiah said, streets lined with the blood of our children and the wailing of parents never ceasing. When children are killed in an elementary school and our inaction in the face of horrific gun violence renders it acceptable, we are sacrificing our core belief in the sanctity of life. When the medical community shouts from the rooftops that this epidemic is a public health crisis and we deny health care and mental health care, we are sacrificing our safety to this idol. When lettuce or toys can be recalled as a danger to society, but our leaders refuse to act as the gun deaths eclipse nearly every other cause of death, we are sacrificing our sanity. When it's harder to buy Sudafed than a gun, when technologies are put aside and reasonable policies are put aside, we are sacrificing our future. And we are literally sacrificing our children to this morally ossified God. We must act together.
I'm Rabbi Lindsay Danziger. I represent the Religious Action Center
center of Reform Judaism, a movement of 2 million souls from a tradition that teaches to destroy a single life is to destroy an entire world.
Amen.
I am a mother of 3 beautiful children. Since they were 18 months old, they have been playing a game at school called Quiet Mouse. They turn the lights off, they huddle all the children in a corner or a closet, and they tell them to be as quiet as a mouse. The littlest babies get lollipops to stop them from making noise. It does not work. How can we tolerate that here in America we send our children to school to rehearse being hunted by weapons of war? We send our children to school to rehearse their own deaths. My ancestors did not flee to this country from Nazis, from pogroms, so my children could cower in a closet by day and awake to nightmares of bad guys by night. We must do better for all of our children because they are all of our children. I'm here because I am a rabbi. I need you. We need each other. Our safety is in our solidarity. May we unite to build a world free from want, free from racism, free from fear, and free from violence.
Brothers and sisters, we got to take this inside. I want to ask you a question. Very serious moral question. Will y'all keep this going in Tennessee? Yeah! You have to decide. We started with 17 people. Every Monday till they went home, and then we followed them home. We're willing to help. We're going back to North Carolina to start again, and then Florida the next week. But I want you to hear this very deeply, because we have to have a certain kind of consciousness. We cannot allow ourselves to only be moved when we see the death.
Yes.
When it's on the media.
All right. Say it, Bishop.
We have said over and over again that more children die from gun violence than any other thing. Yes. But most of those deaths don't get the attention.
Right. That's right.
And extremists bet on that. That we'll only really move and mobilize if we see it as graphic. Now, we need to see it. We need to make them see it.
Yes.
But if 700 people are dying a day from poverty, shouldn't we be moving about that too?
Right.
If 250,000 people are dying a day from poverty before COVID, sometimes, can those in the back stop talking, because if we can't listen to each other, they're not going to listen to us. And I come from a tradition that requires that you believe somebody got up from a grave whom you've never seen it. You just believe it because you heard it, because it's the truth. If 2,800 people are dying every 500,000 people that are denied health care, shouldn't we be moved about that too?
Yeah.
My point is, we can't go home, y'all.
Right.
You know, I hear people sometimes saying they're tired, and God knows I'm tired. I bear it too many. But there are 2 kinds of tired. There's a tired when you're frustrated and you say, well, nothing's going to happen. Then there's a tiredness that emboldens your agitation. That's the tiredness we need. The sick and tired of being sick and tired. But see, that kind of tiredness will make you stay off buses 381 days and have mass meetings every night for a whole year until change comes. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. That kind of tiredness will make you go to court for 57 years until you overturn Plessy versus Ferguson. It's a different kind of tiredness. That kind of tiredness will make you stay in jail 27 years and come out just as clear on justice as when you went in, Nelson Mandela. That kind of tiredness will make you get arrested again and again and again and again. They must know that this time death has not just touched us for a moment. And they must know that we want to challenge all of it. You can't, if tomorrow they pass the gun law, you can't go home. Hell no. Because folk are still dying. White and black folk can't just come together, and Latinos, when our children die, we ought to be coming together even if what would kill them is in place and hasn't killed them yet. We ought to undo it before it kills them. And we cannot say our legislators now have the job. Don't put that on the legislators. Now, they should do their job. But the people have to stay in the people's house and stay in the street until change comes. I bet you if y'all march in Nashville through the tourism season, some change would come. Y'all don't want to hear that. Huh? I bet if you start marching in the middle of the day doing tourism and shut down the traffic, change would come. That's what we have to be willing to do. And so are you ready to be on the front line? Now, it's going to take us a minute to get in there. I want the folk that don't carry the caskets to come get ready. They got it all tied up. You got to go through all this stuff. And they're going to bet y'all going to go home. That's exactly what they're going to say. They're not going to take the time. We better prove them wrong. We better prove them wrong. Somebody said, we ready. We ready. We ready. We ready. That's what the young folks say, we ready. Come on, y'all, and y'all know that. Rob Stevens gonna come. You see Reverend Jackson, how tall he is. Those of y'all that are going in, you follow him. If you see him, he's taller than all of us, then you're in the right direction. Come on, Rob and Reverend Jackson. If you got an ADSU, follow me. We're gonna go right in, right over here across the street. Everybody that was carrying a casket, come on the steps. While they're on the steps, Rob, come on and give us our instruction. And all of you that had to speak, we're gonna finish on the inside. Somebody say finish. On the inside. We're gonna be real loud. On the inside.
All right, as we prepare to go inside the people's house and make sure they know it's ours, if you would walk not up these stairs, but to use the ramp, and especially we want the people with the orange armbands to lead the way through that. So if you don't have an orange armband, wait just a second, and we're gonna lead them up, and then you follow behind. If you can walk these stairs, you're gonna stay to the left and follow the marshals up to the entrance on the left. If you need ADA access, you're gonna march right through these glass doors across the street. So again, make your way to stage right, house left over here, and go across the street and go into the people's house.
Watch the step here, or the rise. I'm standing right here to protect you. Gotcha. Watch your step.
Is anyone else? It's a lot of, it's a few steps. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. All right.
I said my prayer.
This, and I'm Paul, of course, Michael, and here. I'm not mad. He's not mad about it. He's trying to do the same. He can't do it either. I got a water. Hey. Yeah, we need to get that. You don't have a card to do it. Okay, well, I know how to
I just
I'm gonna pass it on to the door.
It does not work my time.
Sure, Ross gave me the. Hold down. She gave it to me.
Anybody can take your
Yeah, no. Okay.
Everybody down. I think just stay here with our turn. And then go inside. Do you try to do estimate
Any signs bigger than a piece of notebook paper be allowed in. You can leave it outside if you like. You can leave it wherever. I mean, that's trash right there. That's where you want to leave it. Bags, washes, belts. Especially smartwatches. He doesn't like those. The only way I'll know for sure is if it means that when you go through.
Documenting everything.
You bet. Every moment. Never know.
You're right.
Any signs bigger than a piece of notebook paper, you can. Like,
This one.
Something about the watch, something like the watch.
Really? Okay. Is there something different I do because I'm an idiot?
if you have a badge, you check it with this gentleman right here before you walk through, and if he says that badge is good to go through, he's good.
Oh, okay, all right. A little easier than getting undressed, but there's my belt.
No, that's my.
Okay, thank you for the heads up, Michael.
Dude, I didn't want to see you
I
suffer,
started
man.
to get a... Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh, really? Do you go through the big scanner thing, or do you go through the different one?
Can I get it later?
That's one way back to say, hey, you
They said they were going to, but it was too far behind me for me to be able to tell myself.
I think they're going to be stopped at the door.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, folks, we are inside the Tennessee State Capitol here in Nashville, Tennessee. People are being told if their signs are bigger than basically a normal sheet of paper, they will not be allowed to bring them in. So some people have been kind of losing theirs on the way in. But we will see what happens. So far, see about 20 people or so probably already inside. Again, they're going through the security proper. It's not like they're breaching, as has happened in some other situations, in some other settings, with some other people. But in all seriousness, so they're going through one by one. They have said that they're interested in doing a direct action, meaning that they may do arrestable actions, but as far as the actual entry here, they are doing it by the books, as it were. Do you know if this is the only entrance people are going in?
I think it is, yes.
This is going to take like a half hour, an hour, I guess, before like all the people are doing it.
Paid by the hour?
Your sign passed the inspection. Do you mind if I take a look at that?
I was a little worried about this one with the state troopers.
Right, yeah, they were saying like basically the size of a normal sheet of paper. You're like right at the...
I know.
This is 1 inch from being a high capacity sign. Exit that way. I just saw that one state rep who was participating in this enter one of those. I don't know if he disappeared into the elevator or into the Senate.
One of the Justins?
I think so.
You're hot, right?
Yes. Is this your first time at this thing? Have you been at one of the other Nashville things?
No.
I don't know. I came out of that.
I got you. Everybody needs that. Come on.
Campaign for years, since 2018.
Amazing. I think this campaign.
We met earlier today. Yes, we did. What does it mean to have the Poor People's Campaign and clergy from all over the country come here?
The interlocking injustices of racism, of poverty, environmental injustices, militarism are still really prescient issues that we know are happening here in Tennessee. And there's so much work to be done. When we think about what happened to myself and Representative Jones with our expulsions, and we think about the voices in our communities that are consistently and continuously marginalized and silenced by the Republican supermajority in the state of Tennessee, we need God on our side and people who are willing to use their faith and their feet to march and make justice a reality here.
Would you say there's been a momentum shift from just 2 weeks ago from what happened to you and the rest of the representatives and now?
Momentum has definitely shifted because people have started to rise up and to speak up in ways that we have not seen. We have to remember that it was a tragedy in Nashville Covenant School that catalyzed this moment for us in our community to stand up and to speak up for people who will never have the chance to speak up again. And now I believe that this moment, this movement, and the momentum that is building is going to help to change Tennessee, help to change our country in some really meaningful, impactful ways. And a lot of people who might have been on the sidelines are now in the game, and a lot of people who've been in the game are getting some reprieve.
So you're definitely in the game now more than ever.
That's right.
How does that feel?
It's an honor to be a part of the movement. It's an honor to see so many young people and so many older folk in our intergenerational, multiracial movement advocating for justice in order that we might see it in our lifetime. This is what change is going to look like. This is what building the solidarity dividend is, and I'm fortunate to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Do you know the truth is my name? I know what I did. Good for you. Thank you. Yeah. He's supposed to go in back. He's on it.
Mic check! You say it back to me. Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check! Mic check!
We're gonna keep going. With the program.
With the program.
As everyone keeps on coming in.
As everyone keeps on coming in.
At this point, I want to introduce Pastor Alvin O'Neill Jackson to continue our program and speak out here in the People's House. So forward together.
Forward together.
You say not one step back.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back. Friends, I cannot fully tell you after 43 years pastoral ministry, all of the death, pain, and tears I've seen and experienced up close. The family after family after family. Sometimes caused by gun, but oftentimes poverty, racism, inadequate health care, no health insurance, unclean water, polluted environment. And there are those who say we can do nothing. Sometimes when I think about it in the words of Marvin Gaye's Inner City Blues, it makes me want to holler.
That's right.
Yes, it makes me want to holler. And throw up both my hands. And you know what? It's okay to holler.
It's okay.
It might even be necessary to holler.
Necessary holler.
Like the representatives from Tennessee.
Yes.
Like that Syrophoenician woman in the scriptures whose daughter was ill and at death's door. Even in the face of rejection and expulsion by Jesus himself, this woman refused to give up until she got what she needed. And so go ahead and holler. Break the rules of decorum if necessary. Business as usual will not do. Moderation won't get it. Holler. Every now and then, we've got to stand up and howl against the night and the people who impose it. We've got to raise our voice and holler until our voices and our votes and our prayers and our petitions and our persistence changes this state, this nation, and the world. Holler! 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 If we're seeking deliverance from the damnable, decadent, deplorable, detestable, death-like dilemmas of life, you know what? Nothing works like definite, dogged, driving desire and determination. That's a demand that not even the deity can deny. Even God Almighty. So go ahead and holler. Holler! Until justice goes down like water. Righteousness and life and light and love like an ever-flowing stream. Holler! Holler!
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Now we're going to hear from. Chaplain Darren Johnson.
Chaplain Darren Johnson.
Please welcome her now.
All right, Chaplain.
Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. It is good to be here among you. As I considered what this day might hold, what strength and hope it might offer, I also had to have the very real conversation with my wife of 25 years about the risks of being present, of simply showing up in public space in this trans female self of mine. For with the laws being considered and passed in our state capital, my wife and I had to have a realistic discussion about the ways this body is at risk for being silenced. Should it be subject to illness or injury?
All right, y'all. We had to fight for that. Y'all keep speaking. I'm going to the floor with Justin.
Amen.
And, we'll be back, but all the speakers keep on. Okay?
The bishop is in the building and the caskets are on their way up.
All right.
Bishop Barber is heading to the floor with Justin, Representative Jones, and he has asked that the speakers still continue as they head in onto the House floor. Bishop Barber's presence here only emphasizes that for with the laws being considered and passed in our state capital, my wife and I have had to have a realistic discussion about the ways that this being said should be subject to illness, injury, that it is unfair to deny. We have to
Where's Janelle? I just want her right now so we can go report on all of this. No, don't you don't bother with you, sir. He's going to check. He's going to check. But you can check though, right? You can check. Well, this is the thing I'm saying. This is a problem. It's not a constitutional problem. Decision. No. Let me ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to get understanding. You're not quoting the Constitution. You're quoting House rules. House rules are subject to change. So you can't change it. I get that. And what I'm saying is you're about to take the court on a number of these things, but a member should. So if you're going to check, you go ahead. We'll wait.
Yes, consider the problem.
You asked the House Speaker said you cannot bring this.
I understand.
The House Speaker said
consider the problem. Yes.
The House Speaker has included.
Yes.
Cameron Sexton.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No,
so House Speaker Cameron Sexton, we cannot bring this past.
Consider the problem.
That is a visible representation.
Yes, consider the problem.
Y'all make sure to take care of this podcast.
Sit right there on my desk. Fine.
Somebody take this from Justin. Representative.
Rob.
It's Rob. Rob, take it. Rob.
Well, I can cheat.
Thank you.
Caregiver come in and grab the name.
Sergeant Orange said you can set it on the desk. Okay, thank you, sir.
Take his caregiver. Yeah, Reverend.
Oh yeah, Rob. There's some young people in the gallery. Just FYI, those galleries.
Yeah, we're good. Now stay here, but we might go up.
I'm just saying you might want to get there if you're trying to do a rally.
People are watching. And some of our uncles gotta go. We don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
They're going back to the gallery.
Don't forget to get a shot of Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment rewrites the bill looking to adopt and defer responsible for further legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a private act that pertains to churches and city.
Okay, so this is the House Gallery in Tennessee. Reverend Barber. The event is actually on the House floor there, but some have just said that they're about to head up to do action up here in the gallery.
The amendment that we put in struck that language out, but that was prior to the drafting of this. So you did not see that.
So what does the bill actually do?
All right, Mr. Speaker, I'll just read the entirety of the act. The board of the mayor of Alderman by majority vote of the full board shall have the power and authority to appoint and remove all directors and or department heads, including the town recorder. Department heads and the town recorder serve at the pleasure of the board and may be removed at any time. Section 2. To discipline all directors and or department heads and to appoint and remove all supported officers and employees in accordance with any personnel rules and regulations adopted by the ordinance or resolution of the board. He may authorize any administrative officer who is subject to his direction and supervision to exercise these powers with respect to subordinates in that officer's department or office. Section 3. Section 3, Section 15, being flooded in the board shall appoint town.
I think this is the best spot to get to see all the
The recorder shall keep and preserve the town seal and all official records that records not required by law or ordinance to be filed elsewhere, to attend all meetings of the board and to maintain a
The Alderman present and absent each motion considered the title of each resolution and ordinance considered and the vote on each question, and to prepare and certify copies of official records. The recorder shall maintain the Oakland Municipal Code in a current and usable manner, and shall furnish the mayor and each alderman with a copy of said code upon his assuming office for his use during his office.
Some of them, they're going up that side.
Serving in the position of finance director. The recorder shall act as tax collector and issue receipts for taxes collected and entered on the tax books, payment of taxes on the date on which they are collected. When serving in the position of finance director, the recorder shall serve as treasurer and such shall receive and keep safely all funds of the town and shall pay out same upon warrants sent by him and the mayor. Section 4. This act shall have no effect unless it is approved by 2/3 vote of the legislative body of the town of Oakland. Its approval or non-approval shall be proclaimed by the presiding officer of the legislative body and certified by such officer to the Secretary of State. Mr. Chairman, I renew my motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you'd read that a little slower, you could have taken it for 5 minutes. So, all I was asking is a summary of what the bill does, and I appreciate you telling me that you're taking out the impact fees for this legislation. So, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for the discussion. So, quick question for you, Sponsor, this is taking away the power, just to make sure. It says authorizes the board of the mayor and aldermen to appoint all directors and department heads upon majority vote. Is that still in this?
That is part of Section 1 and Section 2.
And also replaces the town manager with the board as the appointing authority for the town board. Is that correct?
That's part of Section 2 and 3.
Have you had an opportunity to talk with the town manager about the rules of their position in place of the board?
I don't think I'd be breaking this if I had not talked to my mayor and those board aldermen.
Thank you. I think that Tuesday I was just saying that there's a good dilution of power for the executives out there in place of these boards. And the last thing, for this legislation, if it were before President it would require the approval of the legislative body of Oakland. It would be something to force it out to the folks who were going to pass.
I don't understand.
How will this take effect?
By passing on this point.
And when it goes to the board, as it were, in Oakland, they will then agree to follow this law? Or are you saying, oh, go ahead, President.
I think when we pass it, it becomes state law as part of their charter change, and I think they would actually hear it.
Thank you. It's just some of this language, it really does give power to the legislature. Let it look at that before it does it like with this overreach on top of that. So I appreciate that.
I have nothing further, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hey, again, you got a good bill because it's a local bill. It came from your locals. They sent it up here and asked me to do it. I applaud you for doing what your locals have asked me to do. 2/3 vote. I appreciate you doing it. We all need to do this. We need to listen to our members that are the local bodies, send stuff up here more than we do. And that's our job, to do what the locals ask us to do for us. So if you live in that community and they bring you a bill, do it. If you don't live in that community, leave it alone. But I applaud you, Representative Gann. Thank you for doing your job.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the previous question.
Speaker, I move to substitute conform to Senate Bill 0397.
Representing Gable, to substitute form Senate Bill 397. Do I have a second? Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 0397 on third and final consideration.
Representing Gable, to pass Senate Bill 397 on third and final consideration. Do I have a second? Mr. Clerk, call the first reading.
House Local Government Committee Minute Report, Mr. St.
Chairman Crawford, your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same as the Senate amendment, move to withdraw.
Without objection, Mr. Crawford.
House Finance, Ways and Means Committee Minute Number 1, following is House Bill 2, St.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same as the Senate amendment, move to withdraw.
Without objection, Mr. 2, withdraw.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment takes the effective date back to January 1st of 2023. Sure. And the recent tornadoes that hit West Tennessee in several areas and across the state of Tennessee.
I think I've probably 16 it.
Proration of property taxes on property that has been damaged or destroyed by disasters and emergencies. So this goes back to each of our districts, and it is a permissive piece of legislation. And this goes back to our locals to be able to help those that are affected by tornadoes to give them latitude on the property taxes on the prorated portion while the house is not being able, they're not able to live in it. Mr. Speaker, I will renew my motion.
Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor, Senate Bill 397, vote aye. Vote no.
Ayes 95 minutes.
Senate Bill 397, City of Washington, before you, I invite clerk pass by acclamation.
Mr. Speaker, that brings the body back to item 12, House Bill 1129, relevant to taxation. Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 1129.
Representing Gaines, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute conform to Senate Bill 0935.
Representing Gaines, to substitute form Senate Bill 935, without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 0935 on third and final consideration.
Representing Gaines, to pass Senate Bill 935.
What you looking for? We got what you looking for.
Mr. Speaker, minutes filed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this legislation does is simply an extension of the carpal fee used to retire the debt at the FedEx Forum in Memphis. Speaking on motion.
Representing Gaines, this is motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor, Senate Bill 935, vote aye. Vote no. Those vote no. Those in favor, pass it by the second reading. Mr. Clerk, please take a vote.
Ayes 83, non ayes, 3 persons not voting.
Senate Bill 935, by City of Washington, before you, I invite clerk pass by objection. Let's reconsider. This bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 26, for Representative Gillespie, relevant to K-12 education. Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 1129.
Representative Gillespie, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute conform to Senate Bill 1069.
Representative Gillespie, for the substitute form Senate Bill 1069, for second without objection. Representative Gillespie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 1069 on third and final consideration.
Representative Gillespie, for passage of Senate Bill 1069 on third and final consideration. By the second, Mr. Clerk, call the first reading.
House Education Administration Committee Minute Number 17, Senator Benner.
Chairman White, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same as the Senate amendment, so I move to withdraw.
Without objection, Mr. Wall, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Gillespie, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, what this bill does is pretty simple. It's a school safety bill that would allow, under certain circumstances, for the director of school and principal to assign a student to an alternative school or virtual school if having that student on campus could endanger other students or staff. detail if you'd like. Right now, I would like to review my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. Representative Gillespie, where do the students go? I was trying to read this and make sure I got the right amendment for people watching. It says, whereas the bill to provide the director of schools or director's designee is not required to assign a student in grades 7 through 12 who has been suspended for more than 10 days or expelled from regular school program for an offense of violence or threatening violence or an offense that threatened the safety of persons attending or assigned to the student's school to an alternative school or alternative program if the director of schools or the director's designee determines that assigning the student to an alternative school or alternative program may endanger the safety of the students or staff of the alternative school or alternative program. So if the director or the director's designee does not have to assign the student anywhere, where do these students go?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry, can you, I heard some of that. I didn't hear a question there.
Where do the students go?
Are you referring to now or if this bill were to pass?
If this bill were to pass, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So really what it is there'd be an alternative virtual school. Really the example that I've been saying to people as to why this is needed is, this is right out of Shelby County. Say a student allegedly shot out a funeral. The act of violence had nothing to do with the school, but the LEA heard that there was likely going to be gang retaliation and that would endanger everyone in the school. So that the student, if the student had been sent to school that day, this allows them to attend a virtual school.
Yeah. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me because the threshold isn't if some happenstance of an incident or someone being involved in a shootout or something is even mentioned here. I think that's an egregious example because you have in this legislation that it can be for threatening violence. You have in this legislation that it's actually left to the subjectivity of the director or the director's designee to determine whether or not we educate someone who the director or the designee says is a threat or has threatened violence, which you offer, I see rather than a threshold in here, statements of exactly what that would look like. And so we're leading to a place of subjectivity with this legislation. And just because you mentioned gun violence, I think we need to think about how we actually address that. And I don't think it is expelling people out of school. But again, where do the students go? You say that they go to a virtual school, but the director or the director's designee has no responsibility for them. And another question, Representative, is are we providing services to the kids that you are saying are now a threat to the schools? Or is it just we go to virtual school for a day or two, then you come back? Or is there more to this legislation to actually support the individuals who you're talking about?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this was actually brought to me by Shelby County Schools, and the example I made was an actual real example, something that did happen. And the purpose of this legislation is to provide help for that person. So instead of expelling the student, instead of prolonging whatever else may happen down the road, we're giving them an alternative to attend school virtually, which is a proven method now post-COVID, so that they can get the help they need.
Where in this legislation are they getting the help, the mental health services, the social support services that they need? Because I see or hear you saying, now we provide them an opportunity for them to go to an alternative school. But I don't see the money and the resources that are needed to help people who are in those traumatizing situations in this legislation. So if you read that out for us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, what I mean is the help that they need, as in we're not expelling them. We're not sending them back to school in that environment. We are helping them in this way by providing them an alternative. With that, yes, I'm sure there's some
So yeah, I guess my question is, in Knox County, we have alternative schools that students can go to when they get expelled. We do have online options, but I'm concerned about counties that don't have those options necessarily. And so, what we know, you mentioned COVID, what we learned in COVID is a lot of kids don't learn online very well at all. And so sometimes offering online education, a lot of times for troubled kids, they have learning issues and online education is not going to benefit them. Are you having every school system set up some type of online education for students who are suspended, or how is that going to work? Expelled, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The language of the bill just says the alternative school or alternative program. So it doesn't have to be virtual. It would be up to discretion. Some places may have more rooms off campus. Virtual is the one that I'm using just because we know that that's a lot more accessible university.
But isn't it true that a lot of counties are not set up for any type of online school? What is there fiscal note with the bill, or how does that work?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is not a fiscal note. I believe it's up to the director of schools or the director's designee to make these decisions. I can't possibly go into detail of what every single school district would do, or every single school would do, or every school principal would do, or every child would do for that matter. This is just allowing an alternative if an act of violence is committed somewhere or threatened to be committed somewhere, and the principal of the school says, hey, not a good idea for this person to be in school suspended. It's giving them another option.
Okay, so that means this is an unfunded mandate for some small school systems that don't have any set up for this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you repeat that?
Thank you. So would this be an unfunded mandate for some of the small rural systems that don't have a setup?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my understanding that every single school system under COVID was required to have some sort of virtual option. I'm sure that's still the case.
Yes, there were teachers that were doing that because some students were at home. That is not something that is normally done. There's not teachers set aside for that alternative learning, so it's going to have to be added.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would say that would be a case by case. If there's a shortage, then that director of schools would make that decision when it happens.
Thank you. So it is an unfunded mandate. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Is there any objections or questions? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor, say so. 1069 vote aye. Those opposed, vote no. Has everyone voted? Say your wish to change your vote.
Isaac 211A, one President Obama.
Senate Bill 1069, have received the House majority. I hereby declare passed by objection. Most research table. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 457 by Representative Keene and others relative to youth sports safety.
Representative Keene, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of House Bill 57 on third and final consideration.
Representative Keene moves passage by second. Mr. Clerk, call the first amendment.
House Education Administration Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move withdrawal.
No objection. Number one. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Education Administration Committee Amendment number 2.
Chairman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt and refer to the sponsors for explanation.
Chairman White moves adoption of amendment 2. By second, any discussion of the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of amendment 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Keene, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this bill does is enhances the Safe Stars Act. And we've worked with Patina List LA, we've worked with Vanderbilt. colleagues on both sides of the aisle to hopefully bring forth a bill that we find acceptable. And one of the reasons that, as an example, while we're bringing this bill, we have a student at Gatlinburg Pittman High School, Ms. Kendall Reagan, who had a hard episode coming off the basketball court. And as a result of that, she could have died from that. But characteristically, someone was there who had some knowledge and understanding as to what needed to take place in regards to her health. What we have in the state of Tennessee are young people, 14 years old and under. We want to have the same opportunity in all of our schools for young people. It's not something that happens every day, but what this legislation does is encourages coaches to have the necessary training to be able to spot emergency situations and training of our young people.
Just to the folks who are watching here, demonstrators who came inside are up here sort of in the gallery, on both sides of the gallery, as Reverend Barber and two of the legislators who were participating in this and who had previously been expelled are also on the floor there. The implication is that at some point there's going to be a demonstration here in the House, but it's impossible for me to know exactly when, which is why I'm live, as just the proceedings of the House are going on, some of which are completely irrelevant to the subject at hand. But at some point, things are going to become exciting.
Thank you, colleague, leader, and all of our colleagues. As I said, this is a bill that has support from both sides of the aisle. We work together and we will pass this for our children. With that, I will do my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any objections to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor, House Bill 457 has been voted out. Those opposed, vote no. If everyone has voted, the Secretary will change their vote. Let's do that. Then, Mr. Carter, take the vote.
Ayes 98, no nays.
House Bill 457 is received by its majority. Everybody vote pass by motion. Motion is carried.
House Bill 191, the Chairman holds vote relative to alcohol beverages.
Chairman Holtzclaw, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of HB 191 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Holtzclaw, please pass it by the second. Please start by the first reading.
House State Government Committee Amendment Number 4.
Chairman Keesley, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're going to move this to the hill of the amendments, please.
No objection, roll to the Mr. Clerk.
House Finance Ways and Means Committee Amendment 1 files House Amendment 2.
Chairman Hazelwood, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment rewrites the bill. I move to adopt and refer to the sponsor for an explanation.
Chairman Hazelwood moves adoption of amendment 2 from second. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of amendment 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it, adopted. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, that's back to the hill. House State Government Committee Amendment 1.
Chairman Keesley, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We now move to withdraw.
No objection, amendment 1 withdrawn. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chairman Holtzclaw, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 191 is the very onerous bill which identifies unique locations across the state to serve alcohol beverages on the premise only. With that, I will move my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Holtzclaw, renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none. All those in favor, House Bill 191 has been voted out. We already closed the vote. As everybody can vote, is any members change your vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Ayes 74, 10 nays, none present, not voting.
House Bill 191 is received by its majority. I hereby declare passed by objection. Motion is carried. I'll take the vote, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 766, the Chairman holds vote on its relative to traffic control system.
Chairman Holtzclaw, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of HB 766 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Holtzclaw, please pass it by the second. Mr. Clerk, by the first amendment.
House Transportation Committee Amendment 1.
Chairman Howe, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to adopt.
Chairman Howe moves adoption of amendment 1 from second. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of amendment 1 say aye. Aye. All those say no. Ayes have it, adopted. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chairman Holtzclaw, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 766 basically ensures the minimum exposure time of the seconds across the state. And TDOT has approved this legislation and wants to demand we to the city. And with that, I recommend a motion.
Chairman Oswald makes his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 766 as amended by aye, vote no. Those opposed, vote no. That's every bit of no. Seeing no voice change, vote.
Ayes 97, no.
House Bill 766, Amendment State Law, before you act by passage, text, most research,
House Bill 771, return to host law relative to state civil district and civil.
Chairman Oswald, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to Senate Bill 420.
Chairman Oswald, the substitute form of Senate Bill 420, no objections, so ordered. Chairman Oswald.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 420 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Oswald moves passage of Senate Bill 420 on third and final consideration by the second instructed by the first reading.
Mr. Speaker, all members aye.
Chairman Oswald, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 420 simply asks the governor to redesign the state civil and put the words in God we trust on. With that, I will do my motion.
I notice most of the people who want to answer for their
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the sponsor, this bill is trying to put the words of God we trust on our state seal. But everything we've done this session has been in front of what God calls us to do. I think that this proposal to put in God we trust on our state seal is using the Lord's name in vain. I think it's about to get attention to the whole bills and passing just laws that are perfect for and problems with their rights. I think we might say what does the Lord require of us is to do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly. I think the Lord, I think of Luke 4:18 when it says, the Lord is upon me, the Lord is going to reach and do some more. These things happen. And so, to my colleague, President Olson, I ask that you withdraw this bill and don't just use God as a slogan, but use God as a way to power the legislative society. Use God to examine the moral framework of the policies we're passing. We live in a state where it's easier to get a gun than it is to get an adequate education. That is not of God. We live in a state where we worship the NRA at the expense of our dignity. Mr. Speaker, it is this body that's trying to use God's name in vain and put God's sanction on the injustices that's happening. Let me read from Jeremiah 22. Thus saith the Lord, go down to the house of the king of Judah, or Sexton, and speak there to this word, and say, hear the word of the Lord, O king of Judah, sitting on the throne of David, you and your servants, the people who enter these gates. Thus says the Lord, act with justice and righteousness, and deliver from the hand of the oppressor anyone who has been robbed. And do no wrong or violence to the immigrant, the orphan, and the widow, or shed innocent blood in this place. For if you will indeed obey this word, then through the gates of this house shall enter kings who sit on the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they, their servants, and their people. Let's go. If you want to use God, let's talk about God.
Amen.
Amen. Let's talk about that Jesus who said, that which you done to least of these, you done it to me. Let's talk about the God in the Old Testament who said, the blood cries out. The blood cries out of those 3 9-year-olds who were slain in this city, and everybody chose to do nothing about it. God has called us to do something more than this. We are using God as a slogan. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle are trying to put God as something in God we trust on a seal. But that's not what God, I don't know very much of it to say, put my name on a seal, but it says do justice, love mercy, walk humbly. That's what my scripture tells me. So as someone who went to the village, I'm trying to question why are we trying to put God in a box? Why are we trying to use God to give sanctions to the injustice that's happening in this building? Because God is not pleased, Mr. Speaker. God is not pleased with this body. Let's be honest. And that if we do not act to pass common sense gun laws, please.
Thank you, Mr. Collins, for the preacher.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
We all got to preach from time to time. Because the art of preaching is professing the gospel of the Christian faith, or any faith, about love and justice. You have brought before this hollow house a piece of legislation to encourage the governor to submit a design of the Great Seal of the State of Tennessee by July 1st, 2025 that incorporates the language, quote, "In God we trust." Professing, as I assume you are trying to do, that here in the state of Tennessee, it is in God we trust. A God, as my colleague spoke about, who cares how we act and how we treat the most marginalized. A God who cares about how we act and how we treat the poor, those who've been pushed to the periphery. In God we trust is what we are seeking here, to encourage our government to add to our Great Seal of the State of Tennessee. And I have to wonder, which God are we trusting in? Because we all have different faiths and backgrounds and traditions and beliefs. And I welcome the clergy here from around the nation who believe in a God that forces some people to march for justice. A God that forces some folks not to silence the voices of people who are marginalized and pushed to the periphery. So it is interesting that we are seeking to put in God we trust on our Tennessee Great Seal, and we haven't even had a conversation about which God we're talking about. And some people here have these gods that they worship. Some of us have these gods that we bow down to. Some people here have these gods that we love and that we idolize, that silence voices and shun the poor and pass legislation to silence the majority. Some people have this God that they worship, and I think in this house of conversation and this hallowed house of debate, there should have been more conversation about which God we were putting our trust in. Because I'm concerned that the God that you are encouraging the governor of this state to put on the Great Seal of Tennessee to represent all 7 million of us in perpetuity is not the same God we trust with inclusion. It's not the same God we trust with elevating the lowly. I'm worried that we're not talking about the God that pushes people from the periphery to the center. I'm worried that we're not trusting in the God that does the work of justice and love. I'm really worried that we are pontificating and painting on our Great Seal of God to bow down to, who is not the God that loves and cares for everybody, but instead might be a God who idolizes and who supports white supremacy, capitalistic exploitation, or patriarchy. And we have to have a conversation in this house about what God we're trusting in. Is it the same God that has brought us to this place through liberation liberation, the God who has ensured that even amidst, some might say, expulsion, resurrection happened? Or is it a God of silencing? We didn't have a conversation about what God we're trusting in. And that's really important if you're going to say that this God that you want us to have our governor to put on the design of the Great Seal of the state of Tennessee is going to represent all of our different perspectives and identities.
I renew my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sponsor Hill.
Yes, sir.
Sponsor, I do want to ask you, have you done a survey in terms of how many people believe in God in Tennessee?
No, I didn't specifically got the survey. How many people in the state of Tennessee believe in God? But I have a good feeling it's a very, very high percentage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you believe that salvation comes by faith?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You do know what the Bible says about faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is the evidence of things not seen. It is a declaration as well as is a description of what a person does when they believe in God. So I guess what I'm concerned about is, are we really speaking for every individual that lives in the state of Tennessee when we put on the seal, in God we trust?
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise. I can't support the bill simply because I don't think I would be honest with myself or be honest to speak for even the 70,000 people that I represent to say that they all believe in God. And even if I went to the church where I pastor, I couldn't honestly say everybody in the congregation believes in God. I would hope that they would. But under the circumstances, I think I would be speaking out of order if I said everybody in that church believe in God we trust. So for that reason, I wouldn't be able to support your legislation. I think I understand what you're trying to do, but I think that might be, we may be going down the wrong road to speak to some people who may disagree with that idea. But I thank you for your help, but I don't think we can legislate morality.
It is our nation motto. With that,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I call for previous question.
All those in favor of Senate Bill 420, vote aye. Those
Take that, you atheist.
I, Senate 14, 84 percent on those.
Senate Bill 420, number sheet 1224, hereby passed by the action. Motion considered second.
House Bill 1106, contributing to Littleton and others relating to juvenile offenders, Mr. Wilson, please on the desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I make a substitute on the Senate Bill 0611. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I make passage on Senate Bill 0621 on third and final consideration.
Mr. Speaker, no amendments signed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This authorizes a juvenile court to transfer a child who is 16 years of age or older to an adult criminal court for committing the offense of escape from a youth detention center. With that, I renew my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Chair, can you explain what the bill does again, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a person, a child that's 16 or older that is ex from a detention center will go to criminal court instead of going back to juvenile.
Thank you. That's what I was afraid that you said. So they be sent to adult court because they escaped? Adult?
These are juveniles that are charged with offense of robbery or attempt to commit robbery, confined to a youth developmental center and certified.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to be clear on the bill. So if these juveniles that were sent there for robbery and they escaped from the facility, they would then be sent to adult prison?
They would be sent to a adult court.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, which could send them to an adult prison?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sponsor, what crime is being committed? What level of crime is being committed for someone escaping from a youth development center? What level of crime?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are ones that are in a juvenile detention for 3 different felonies, including robbery or attempted robbery.
In Tennessee law, what crime is it? What level of crime is it for escaping? Do we have a law that says if you escape from a detention center, you have now committed a felony of the X degree or something like that? Does that exist?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. They've already committed felonies.
So it is not a crime to escape from a youth development center. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a crime to escape. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This just sends them to a criminal court.
Okay. What reasons are people typically escaping from youth detention centers? Why would someone want to escape?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess to get out of the juvenile detention center.
Do we have resources, more resources in youth detention centers to help young people who might consider escape or anything like that? Does this bill provide any additional resources to the youth who the state is incarcerating?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been around to several of these detention centers, and yes, they have all kinds of classes for them and rehabilitation.
But this bill isn't adding resources to the youth detention centers in our state. Is that right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. They are already getting those. What would they add?
Because people are still seeking escape, and so I'm wondering if there was more psychiatric help, if there was more social services support, if there was more resources for rehabilitation, if there were more things that the state were offering to these young people to actually help them to be rehabilitated, instead of criminalizing them even more for not committing another crime, whether or not that would make a difference. But the problem with this legislation and the pattern that it continues is the criminalization of juveniles and youth as what someone calls sort of super predators. These are children already in extraordinarily difficult circumstances who have committed no additional crime, who you are now saying need to be sent to adult prison. And we know what the image of those children typically is. They oftentimes
And I am worried that we are passing legislation that continues to penalize and criminalize someone who has committed no additional crime just because this body has the power to do so. That is not how we should be using our legislative power. And the reason that I was asking about the resources that are going into youth detention centers is because if we want for them to be places of rehabilitation, if we want for them to be places where we prevent young people from having recidivism problems, then we have to look much more holistically as how these young people got there in the first place. And doing everything in our power to prevent them from being there. And if they are there, doing everything within our power to help them be rehabilitated and members of our society. Not criminalizing them further because they escaped.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will read my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In all this conversation, I'm reminded of a recent expose in white paper on the sexual assault, abuse, physical assault of young people, juveniles at the Wilder Center. And I can't imagine what that would be like to be there and suffer that from staff or staff allowing it from other students. And I think I do everything in my power to get away from that type of assault and abuse and get myself somewhere safe. So some of these people who are leaving these facilities are doing it to save their lives, if that's how they feel. Not much has been done to fix what has happened. And it's still going on. And I hate to imagine someone being in that situation, but it's self-preservation to get yourself away from something like that. And so I think it's very important that you consider that someone who is just trying to save themselves and you're going to send them over to adult court because they're trying to save their own lives. I just really think that this is a terrible idea, it's a bad bill, and there's other ways to address some of these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to correct, I think the sponsor may have misspoken earlier when describing this legislation. I just want everybody to be clear. This isn't saying that juveniles who have charged the offense of robbery or attempted to commit robbery and escape from a facility are going to be child adults. This says or. So these may not even be violent minors who are 16 or older. They may not have committed any egregious or violent offense. This simply says if they have incurred or committed any offense and then tried to escape from the Youth Development Center, they can be tried as adults in an adult court. There is no basis for that. Nowhere in the definition of justice is that even fathomed in our judicial system. Individuals and young men and women who are placed in youth development centers for any number of reasons, including non-violent offenses, could want to escape or need to escape or feel they have to escape for any number of reasons. My colleague from Knox County outlined a few. If they're concerned about their safety, if they need to get out of that facility because they feel they need to protect themselves, just for being a runaway, we're going to try them as an adult in adult court? Ladies and gentlemen, let's
let's think through this. The goal here is justice, rehabilitation. There's always a sense of deterrence in these type of punishments, but you cannot try a child in criminal adult court simply for seeking safety or running away for any number of reasons, regardless of why they were put in that youth development center. Let's hit the pause button here and think about what we're doing to these children and threatening to these children who are 16 and 17 years of age, who didn't even necessarily commit a violent offense. Please give this some thought before you vote in favor of this legislation. The young people of this state who have made mistakes, we all made mistakes of some level when we were 16 or 15 or 17. Let's not take the attempt to seek safety or get out of one of these youth development centers and try that child as an adult in an adult criminal court. That is simply contrary to all notions of fairness and justice in the state of Tennessee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yep, that's right.
First, I would say that the robbery facility, you have to be a three-time felon before they live here. But this bill says charged with the offense of robbery or attempt to commit this one of them are confined to a youth development facility, accredited, certified, and licensed by the Department of Children's Services, and charged with escape thereof. A child 16 years of age confined to a youth development center, accredited, certified, or licensed by the department, who escapes therefrom may be prosecuted as an adult in the court having jurisdiction of the offense. With that, I recommend my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's be clear what this says. 16 years of age or more at the time of the alleged conduct, and B1, charged with the offense of robbery or attempt to commit robbery, or 2, confined in a youth development center, approved, certified, or licensed Department of Children's Services, and charged with escape therefrom. It doesn't say charged with the offense of robbery or attempt to commit robbery and escaping. Those are two separate things. It says or escaping. So let's be very clear about what this legislation says. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to the sponsor. I've got questions. I also have concerns, some of which I think you attempted to address with Chairman Clemens. So I understand the child, the juvenile, would be transferred to an adult facility, no matter what the crime was that they were originally detained for, if they attempted or actually escaped from that detention facility. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It says it authorizes a juvenile court to transfer a child who is 16 years of age or older to adult court who committed the offense of escape from a youth developmental center. They're just transferred there. The court will make the decision.
All right, will the juvenile court make that decision or the adult criminal court?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It authorizes the juvenile court to transfer a child who is 16 years of age or older to adult criminal court who committed the offense of escape from a youth developmental center.
So it's not mandatory, it's not automatic, merely because of the act of attempting escape.
Yes, it authorizes a juvenile court to transfer a child who is 16 years of age or older to adult criminal court for committing the offense of escape from any adult criminal.
All right, with that, juvenile court have to hold a hearing before the transfer?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Thank you. And with the facility that would be the new home, so to speak, would that have to meet certain standards? And I ask that because we had testimony before the House of Criminal Justice Committee from individuals who, as juveniles, were transferred to an adult facility that was not qualified to hold them, was not qualified to administer the programs, was not qualified to hold them in a population other than as solitary confinement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I didn't understand the question.
Thank you. So the question is whether those facilities that would accept the transfer would have to meet certain standards so a child would not have to be kept in solitary confinement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that's correct.
Right? And those facilities would be inspected by the juvenile court system, DCS, DHS. How do we make sure that our children are safe in those adult facilities?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's already in place.
All right, so if I heard you correctly, you said that the only thing, not the only thing, but the main thing that this bill does in response to my question is to authorize, not mandate, juvenile court to make that transfer from the juvenile detention center to an adult holding center, prison, jail, etc.
Mr. Speaker, it authorizes a juvenile court to transfer a child who is 16 years of age or older to adult.
So my folks who are watching this, the debate on like other bills is taking a really long time. So I'm actually going to cut the live feed here, but I'm going to try to go live again whenever the demonstration takes place.
Thank you.
Relates to the legislation about guns that's going to be taking place. So.